Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to round number 1 of the F1 2019 Nemesis Online Racing League Championship here at Albert Park. And we're just waiting for the drivers to get underway. Sorry, just at the start then I realised that my settings were all over the place, and I still might actually have to turn the game sound up, but that remains to be seen. And I hope you're all doing well on what is, well, Sunday evening for you guys in Europe. And well, an early Monday morning for me in Australia, as we're still waiting to get underway. I'm not too sure why, as I just start streaming at 6:30. But very excited for this championship to get underway today. It's going to be a lot different to the F2 championship, I think, as we've seen. Well, Toby, or what is he even called in here, Bolt, dominate in the F2 championship. I think that will be a lot different. I think he'll be challenged quite a bit more by Chazza and by Ed GTS, and I think also a couple other drivers like Danny Bin Lahar and Lazar will try to impress in this championship. But I'll just quickly, whilst we're waiting, go through the championship rules. And we are on one-shot qualifying, as you can see down the bottom. 50% race distance, weather is on dynamic, parc ferme is on, vehicle damage is on reduced, car setup is on preset only, corner cutting is on strict, braking assist dynamic line not allowed, and yeah, those are the sort of main ones. But must say that this is the first Nemesis Online Racing F1 Championship, certainly, where you cannot use the dynamic racing line. So that's going to be very, very interesting to see how the drivers are able to cope. And of course, the F2 races, where the race distances were a lot shorter, you could get away with those sort of mistakes. Just say like locking up a brake, going a little bit wide. But in a 50% race where everything is so important, it's going to be massively important that you do not make mistakes, and especially in one-shot qualifying here, it's going to be super important to just have a clean lap. Even if it isn't fast, just get a clean, solid lap in. But it's good to see that a couple of the actual guys who were racing today in the chat, Lazar the Greek and Bolt, Lazar saying good luck to the commentary legend, a good friend of them. Good luck to all. Thanks, Lazar. Hope you have a good race as well, buddy. And Bolt saying, feel like Ed is the one to beat this year. Good luck to all. And indeed, good luck to all. And it's great. I'm so pumped. As Ed immediately in the chat is piping down his chances here by saying nah. But I'm super pumped for this championship. Of course, I usually race. I have since F1 2015 in the F1 championship. But this year, I hang up the boots and decided that I'd rather commentate. And of course, I was the winner at this great race last year, beating, I think it was Danny in second or Chazza. I know the podium was certainly Danny, Chazza and I, but we're going to have a new winner this year, and let's see who it's going to be as we're just about to load into the one-shot qualifying session, as we have a plethora of drivers here, which is great to see. Such a big grid. I think there's like 18 or 19 drivers, so really great to see a massive turnout here for the first race of the season at Albert Park, of course, my home Grand Prix. And here we go. It'll be interesting to see what setups people do use, because of course you actually can't use a custom setup. You have to use one of the default ones. So top speed, all of those sort of ones, maximum downforce. So I think we'll see throughout the race if there is a difference in setup. But it is a really weird track here at Australia. There's a lot of parts of the track which are completely full throttle, but for the corners you do need quite a bit of downforce, especially through turn 11 and 12, the left and then right chicane in the middle sector. It's such a difficult part of the track and so easy to just clip the curb and go spinning around. But we're underway for one-shot qualifying here in Australia. And it is our man Hefford who we're watching on the run down to turn 1. Now through turn through as he now about to open up his DRS on the run down towards turn 3. A very difficult braking zone. So easy to go deep and into the gravel. And now we come through turn 4. As we can see here, Dougie Afferman's run quite a bit wide there, which is so easy to do so. But we're going to go on board here with Chazza, of course, our reigning F1 world champion. He actually takes just the start of the first sector. Sorry, just start the second sector. Very, very nicely indeed. Now we break about the 75-metre board here, as Bolt's actually retired from the race, but everything looking very good here for Chazza so far, along with Chiller Killer and Ragno, who has had an extremely strong start. But now through turn 11, very smoothly indeed, and through turn 12, just about keeps it on the track does Ragno, as he loses the rear end through turn 12. But it still looks like he's in the lead. It's also Jay Hobson, UK, has decided to retire. But now Ragno coming through the last sector. His teammate Chazza has now just taken the lead, but now Chiller Killer's in the lead as Ragno runs deep into the final chicane, or the final, pretty much the final corner, and it looks like it's going to be a Ferrari 1-2. It looks like it's going to be Chazza who takes pole here in Melbourne by 7/10 over his teammate Ragno. And I tell you what, if Ragno hadn't have made that mistake at the second to last corner, I think he would have been on pole position there. He had a very good lap. But have I just seen that Val is in third? Have I just seen that right? We're just waiting to see. And yes, indeed, Val is in third. It's an Italian 2 and 3. Followed by Lazar the Greek, Testameister, Chiller Killer, Murcielago, Anel Tanovic, Danny Abinlaha, Shektafar, Hefford, Dougie Aframan, Jacobs Motorsport, Zigdaddy, Ayrton Spenner, Skull TBD, Jay Hobson, Lola Power, Ed and Bolt, of course, two of the championship favourites in my opinion, 19th and 20th. Oh boy, what a massively controversial session that has been. And of course, before the race, we were saying in the chat that it should be short qualifying, and those drivers certainly would have benefited from it being a short qualifying, as they would have got another chance to set the lap time. But that is also just the somewhat the beauty of one-shot qualifying, is you have to absolutely nail the lap. Can't make any mistakes, and those who do nail the lap get rewarded for it. And certainly Chazza, and to a certain extent Ragno, did there. Brilliant lap by those two, and also Val in third. Really fantastic. But as I just take my final gulp of water before we get underway here at Albert Park. It'll be interesting to see what tyres and what strategy the drivers employ today. Of course, top 10 will have to start on the soft compounded tyres, but be interesting to see if drivers outside the top 10 start on the medium compounded tyres. But of course, we're going to have to go through a very painful formation lap here, as the two Ferrari 1 and 2 Ferrari domination, much like last year with Chazza and I. As we'll just get to see now what tyres everyone is on. And there we go, Hefford, Zaddy and Ed are gone on the medium compounded tyres, and Skull's gone on the hard, but everyone else on circuit is on the soft compound of tyre. And very happy to see Lazar the Greek back in the F1 Championship. I think he debuted in the Championship in 2015. When I actually debuted in the Championship, so good to see a familiar name around. In course, he went and has taken on the PES Pro scene, and he's done a fantastic job, so congratulations to him on here, and him on that. And now returning to league, he'll be hoping for some more success here. And of course, all familiar faces for me, except for Zaddy, or Addy, I'm just going to say Addy, who is a new driver to the F1 league, that's for sure. Ayrton Spencer is Callum J. Spencer for you guys that follow the league. Lola Power, I'm new to him, but of course everyone else is familiar faces, so good luck to those who are making their debut here in the league, and for those who are returning, and of course to those who have been in the league forever. But a full grid of 20 drivers. I'm expecting some chaos here at the start, as turn 1 and turn 2 really do produce some drama. There's always some sort of contact in these corners in real life or in any of the races which I have commentated. But now the two Ferraris coming down the pitch straight, the Walker straight, as we're about to get all the cars on the grid and for the start of this race. As we, of course, the last driver lining up on the grid will be Bolt. And must say, fantastic job to the drivers to see everyone getting through the formation lap safely. That is not usually a common occurrence, but there we go. The Renault is now lined up on the grid, and we're going to get away here at Albert Park. Here we go, 1 light, 2 lights, 3 lights, 4 lights, 5 lights. And lights out and away we go. It looks like it's a very poor start by Chazzo. It looks like Dragno's got the jump on him. Yes, indeed he has. As Val is now tucked up behind Dragno, trying to get past. As we've got a car off track there, Toro Rosso, but it looks like Chaz has actually got a very good run out of turn 2. Oh, and we have a McLaren in the wall of Testameister, I believe that is. But now Chaz is trying to go around the outside of Ragno, down into turn 3. It's not going to happen, as we have also Lazar up the inside of Val there for P4, but Testameister out of the Grand Prix already. We've contacted lap 1, but Ragno getting all over the curb there, struggling through that part of the track. But the Ferraris have maintained track position with their 1-2, but there was certainly some chaos behind, as Ayrton Spencer is up into 6th place and he started way down the field, I believe, as the two Ferraris actually having a go at it here. They're side by side as Chaz has got past Ragno down into turn 8, I believe it was. Brilliant move that by Chaz, as we've also had lower power retiring as well. But now through turn 11 and turn 12, everyone is so tight to each other, so close to each other, as the top 5 are separated by about a second. So top 4. This has been fantastic. Oh, as we've actually had Chiller Killer in the wall, I believe. Yes, here's the Alfa Romeo's gone into the wall. Absolute disaster for him there on this opening lap. Not the mistakes he wanted to making on the opening lap. But now Ragnar is being put under pressure here by Lazar the Greek. Was certainly closing up in those last couple of corners, but Ragnar's held on for the time being. And Hefford, I must say, is in a fantastic position here on the medium compounded tyres, as Lazo runs quite a bit wide there through turn 2. And he's going to be put under pressure here by Val in the Alfa Romeo. Is Val going to send it? No, Lazo outbrakes himself massively. He goes off into the gravel, and now Val is going to be up into P4, and also looks like Ayrton Spencer is now going to go up into P4, but I think it was Schechtefer who went off. No, it was a Red Bull Murcielago who went massively wide off at turn 3 as well. He's now dropped down to 7th, and I was just saying Hefford's in a great spot in P8. He's now in P6, as we have a whole bunch of cars now coming into the pit lane with Chiller Killer, Jacobs Motorsport, J Hobson UK, Al Altanovic, Danny Ibn Lahar, Skull, and also Bolt. Absolute disaster for about, well, for half the field pretty much there on the first lap, as there was contact, as now Addy has just overtaken Ed, but Ed has managed to sneak himself past, as he has managed to avoid all of their first lap and first corner drama, as he is up into P9 from 19th, but the Haas is giving it all he's got through the middle sector there, and now he's going to be looking to get the move down on the inside. Is he going to get the move done up the inside? Yes, he is. Great move there by the Haas driver, but Ed's trying immediately to come back down the inside. Fantastic move that is by the Mercedes driver, and now they're all closing up to the back of Schechtefer, who's going to come into the pits, and so is Ed, who nearly crashes into the back of the Haas. So we've had nearly about half the field come into the pit lane already. Absolute chaos with the 20 field of drivers here early on. But now we're going to go back towards the front of the field. Chaz has got 1.5 seconds over Ragno to his teammate, and then Ragno has a gap of 1.5 seconds to Val in P3. Then we have Ayrton Spencer in P4, Lazar in P5, as now we have Chilica up into P10 after Schechtefer and Ed pitted. But we're certainly going to be looking back towards the field here for battles, as it looks like most of the top runners, well, certainly top half of the field actually is quite spread out here by about 1.5 seconds to 2 seconds. So won't be seeing much battling here in the first portion of the race, as Ed is now closing up to the back of Schechter, and Schechter runs a little bit wide there, coming through the trees into turn 7, but he just manages to hold on. But Ed putting him under pressure. Zed down to the downhill braking zone, turn 9, as he nearly runs into the back of him. Zed has a massive lock up as Chazza sets the fastest lap of the Grand Prix so far, 125.8. He is absolutely flying out there in the lead, as now Ed has overtaken Schechter down the back straight, and now he's up into P11 and nearly loses the rear end there into the wall, but Ed somehow manages to control his rear end after that massive moment, and he stays on track and in P11, and now he'll be looking to hunt down Chiller Killer for P10, as we had Schechter actually in the background just running a little bit wide there, making a mistake, and now I assume that J Hobson UK will be looking to hunt him down as well. But everything is settled down after the first couple of laps here. Now, after half the field is pitted, we'll just see how many guys have actually pitted, and there we go, from 10th to 18th everyone has pitted, so massively inconveniencing their races, as Ed has actually started to close up to the back of Chillikill already. He's now within a second, so Ed is on a march here in the Mercedes. He's really pushing the car to its absolute limits, and he's very fast at the moment. He's gaining massively on Chillikiller, who I believe is on the hard compounded tyres. He throws it up the inside, but Chillikiller manages to give him a little bit of space, so there isn't any contact between the two. But now down the back straight, Ed is going to be looking to capitalise out the exit of the chicane. You can see how much more grip on board. Never mind, as he goes into the wall. Does he lose any front wing? I'm not sure if he does, but that was the perfect commentator's curse there, as Ed went into the wall. I don't think he's got any actual visible damage, so he's got away with that unscathed somehow. But now Schechter is close up to the back of him, and now Ed just needs to calm himself down, close back up to the back of Chillikiller. Just don't make any mistakes, don't get ahead of yourself, just get the moves done cleanly, as I think he got a little bit excited there and made a slight mistake, which could have been oh so costly. He did very well to not actually retire from the Grand Prix there. But he's certainly looking very good, as I think Ragnar might have made a slight mistake here at the front, as he is now 4 seconds behind Chazzo, who's absolutely dominating this race so far. The Brit in the car number 32 is dominating this race so far, as we're about to end lap 5 and to go on to lap 6. There we go, the gap goes up to 4 seconds at the start of lap number 6. Oh, as we have a Toro Rosso in the wall there. Who's that? That's Skull. Skull is in the wall. He's made a mistake there at turn 1. He's lost his front wing. He's getting out the way of Val and Nelson Ayrton Spenner, who's closing up to the back of Val actually. So we'll certainly see that battle for P3 heat up in the next couple of laps. But here we go, we've got Ed closing up to the back of Chillikiller already. It looks like actually might be a little bit of lag with Chillikiller's car, if I'm perfectly honest, as Ed has just got to hold station behind Chillikiller for a couple of more corners, setting up the switch back to go and get past Chillikiller down the Walker Straight. And now with the DRS, oh, as Chillikiller moves out of nowhere on the straight. I believe once again that is just lag, but that was certainly a very dangerous late move if there was no lag involved, as he actually loses the rear end through turn 2. And now surely Ed has got to get past him to avoid any contact, but he can't get past Chillikiller for the time being, and stays in P11. As Addy is now catching up to the back of Murcielago, down into turn 11 and 12. And of course, after this corner you get a big gulp of DRS, and there we go, the Haas driver is now opened and activated. DRS on Murcielago, but he's not close enough to get, well, to make a move, as Skull is now retired from the Grand Prix. But certainly looks like Addy is looking quite fast here on the medium compounded tyres. Closing up to the back of Murcielago. Here down the main straight, as now Murcielago lost the rear end a little bit. Addy actually, not, as I was about to say, he's not using his main ERS. Oh, but Murcielago defended the inside line there very unwardingly. And now he basically just gave Addy that position for free because he did not need to defend the inside. As now Addy's actually run wide and off into the gravel. And now Murcielago's just about got back into P7. So a costly mistake there by Addy as he now drops down into P8 just after I was praising him for that move. He then makes a mistake and Murcielago's found himself back up into P7. Now Addy's got to do that all over again. And meanwhile, Ed has finally found himself past Chiller Killer, and now he is 8 seconds down the road. Oh, it's what's happened to Val. Val's in the wall. He's lost it at turn 12. Val, who was in P3, qualified in P3, has gone into the wall. Such a costly mistake there by the Italian. And now that has ruined his chance of a podium. He'll be absolutely kicking himself there. As Addy is now looking to get past Murcielago. He's going to try go around the outside here. Murcielago is going to outbrake himself massively. Goes off into the grass. And now Addy has moved himself up into P6 with that move on Murcielago. But just as it looked like we're going to see some battling between Ed and Spenner and Val. Val has gone into the wall. And now he is coming into the pits. And he'll need, of course, a new front wing. And let's see what tyres he does go on. As we'll just change over for that. Now, as Ed actually sets fast lap of the race so far at 125.7, which just about betters Chaz's 125.8 earlier on in the race. As Addy's now looking to close up to Hereford. As Val has now gone on to the hard compounded tyres. And he is dropped all the way back down into P17 behind J Hobson UK. Disaster for the Italian there. As now the Haas driver of Addy is closing up to the back of Hereford. Here on lap number 9. As both drivers actually on the medium compounded tyres. So they're in a very good position here in this race to potentially close up to the back of Lazar. And oh, it's actually Lazar the Greek, speaking of him, has made a mistake there, going off at the second to last corner. And now for the second lap in a row, Addy is being gifted positions. Oh, was it not? Sorry, it was Hereford, of course, who was the Williams in front of him, not Lazar. Hereford has got off the track, and now Addy, 2 laps in a row at that very corner, has been gifted positions. And all of a sudden, Addy, on his debut in this league, is looking very, very good for a very solid points position finish. As now Murcielago has come to the pits and has gone on to the medium compounded tyres, as Chili Killer here is all over the back of Dougie Afroman, who's on 8-lap-old soft compounded tyres. So those would be plenty worn out right now as Chiller Killer goes clean around the outside of Dougie Afroman there into turn 3. Very solid move there by the Alfa Romeo driver. As Val is now going across the gravel and across the grass. And he's still behind J Hobson UK. I'm not too sure if he was trying to overtake the Mercedes driver there, because actually it looked like he was ahead of the Mercedes driver. Oh, as he's gone off again. This has turned into an absolute nightmare for Val from P3 to multiple mistakes in back-to-back laps. And this is not going well for Val here. He just needs to try regain his composure, keep the car on the track, and go as fast as he possibly can. As we have Anil, just half a second here behind Bolt, who seems to be struggling a little bit actually. Oh, and here we go. Lazar has come into the pit lane onto the hard compounded tyre. And now Addy is up into P4. But Chaza is absolutely dominating this race with an 8-second lead here over Ragno. And I assume that these guys are going to start coming into the pit lane now, or start coming to the pits in the next couple of laps, as we also see Doug Afferman come into the pit lane now from P9. But we've seen very good performances by a couple of drivers so far this race, but then it can all be ruined by a mistake. And it actually looks like Chaz is driving well within himself here. He's not driving too dangerously. He's actually keeping it very calm to try and save his tyres also. Chaz is very good at saving his tyres, but he continues on for another lap. And now the gap is going to be nearing 9 seconds as he begins lap number 11 right now. As we have Bolt, who's managed to get past Doug Afferman, as Doug Afferman is pitted from P8 or P9. And he's gone on to the hard compounded tyres as Jay Hobson UK has gone into the wall there. Is that just before turn 7? Yes, it is. I'll tell you exactly what he's done. He's hit that curb that's on the outside. And he's gone spinning into the wall and he's lost his front wing there. Very costly there. As now Ragnar is coming to the pits onto the medium compounded tyres. And it looks like he didn't activate his pit limiter there. It's actually Hefford has jumped him here. But of course Hefford has not pitted. And Ragnar is very comfortably in a net P2 here. As now we need to jump down all the way down to Jay Hobson UK and Bolt. And of course Bolt should get past Jay Hobson UK here in the last sectors. Jay Hobson UK actually has no front wing. Or does he? Well, it certainly looks like he has a bit more on the front wing than I thought, because he wouldn't be going as that fast through these corners if he had no front wing. As Ayrton Spencer actually gets a 3-second time penalty. And Jay Hobson's continuing on for another lap. So maybe he didn't actually get any damage from going into the wall, which it certainly should have. But now Bolt using his DRS and ERS to try and get past Jay Hobson UK, but it's not going to work as he actually goes in the grass. Oh, the Jay Hobson UK goes spinning around on the exit of turn 2, and now Anil is putting pressure on Bolt to try and get past for P13. Anil trying to go around the outside, but he's not going to make the move work. A very nice attempt by Anil there, but Bolt up into P13. Jay Hobson UK now makes 2 mistakes in the matter of a lap, pretty much. And very costly mistakes there as he went spinning around on the exit of turn 3, and it looks like he's fed up and he actually might retire here. But Ayrton Spencer is now pitted and come in for the medium compounded tyres. He's going to be about 7 seconds behind Ragno as he gets back under full throttle. As Ragno cleanly gets past Hefford up into turn 3. But Chazza is also pitted here. He's in first place, and this should be a fairly straightforward race here for Chazza, as he's actually now 10 seconds ahead of Ragno. So no undercut has really worked for Ragno there, as Chazza has just been absolutely dominant here today. As Lazar is now as Ed is all over the grass trying to find his way past Lazar here. Very, very ambitious to be going all over the grass like that, but Ed now should be starting to feel the effect of some tyre wear. But Lazar seems to be all over the place here at this stage, as he is on 2-lap-old hard compound tyres, so he should be doing alright in terms of the tyre wear. But it looks like Ed has kept his tyres in a very good nick here, and he's looking extremely quick in this facet of the Grand Prix. He now, with that DRS and ERS usage, should get the move up the inside, but he doesn't actually go for it, as it looks like Lazar just broke later than him, so fair play. But expect to see Ed come into the pits relatively soon, and probably go onto the medium compounded tyre to the end of the race. And now Lazar's actually, what on earth happened to Lazar there? Did he just lag spike behind? I wasn't actually paying attention because I thought everything would just run normally. I was just opening up and checking the comments, but what on earth happened to Lazar? If someone in the chat can tell me what happened to Lazar there, that would be great. But now Val up into P10 ahead of Schechter. Also, Lazar actually spun. Wow, I completely missed that. I do apologise. But Lazar did indeed spin, and now he's dropped down to P8 when he was up in P6. Thanks for that, Colin, or Skull, in the chat. And I will get to the chat shortly. Actually, let's do it now as Scheckter tries to close in on Val, but closing in does not encourage you going off into the gravel, which is exactly what Scheckter did, and any sort of pressure that was on Val is now subsided, as it looks like Bolt and Anil are still going hammer and tong here for P13. These two seemingly can't be separated so far in this race. Oh, as Anil runs wide, and you don't want to be going anywhere near that curb in these cars, because it is so easy to go for a little spin. As Danny has gotten past Jay Hobson, as Jay Hobson has come into the pits. And Skull is certainly not happy with whoever caused the first lap incident, which caused about half the field to pit. But now here we go, we have Ed into the pit lane, and he has gone on the medium compounded tyres, and that he'll comfortably get to the end of the race on those set of tyres. As Murcielago comes out ahead of him in P8, and Ed comes out very, very comfortably indeed in P9, as that was Val behind him in the background, who's on the medium compound tyres. So Val still could get some good points here, or a point, but he'll have to be working very hard to if he wants to get a better result, as Ayrton Spencer is now catching up to Hefford. Out of turn 12 he gets a very good run, and with the DRS open he's gaining, but he's certainly not close enough as he brakes massively later than Hefford, who was on 11 lap older tyres than him. Nearly goes into the back of him here, as I assume Hefford has got to be coming into the pit lane, and indeed he does. Hefford into the pits, and that will promote Ayrton Spencer up into P4 into the race, as we have Ragno closing in on Addy ever so slightly. The gap's now 2.5 seconds, and Ragno with 10 lap fresher compounded tyres should be closing in this gap very quickly to Addy. But looks like Ragno's actually taking it easy quite a bit, saving some ERS as he closes up to the back of him. But Addy, I assume, will come into the pit lane very shortly indeed, as we have Chilikula up into P5 now after the pit stop of Hereford. As we have Anel Tanovic retiring from the race. Not too sure what's happened here, but I think we all know. I think turn 11 has taken another victim, and Anel sadly out of the Grand Prix now, as Bolt has actually managed to jump up into P12. So he's jumped up quite a bit here, and yep, as we can see, Anel's car was just there in the left hand side of that wall there, as he's crashed out at turn 12. As now Jay Hobson UK moves up past him. He's retired car up into P16, but Ragno, funny enough, isn't actually gaining too much here on Addy, who was on 15 lap old medium compounded tyres. So I'm quite a bit surprised by this. On the much fresher rubber he should be gaining quite a lot, but it looks like Ragno's very content not to even try to overtake, because of course Addy hasn't pitted, whereas Ragno has. So he knows that he'll come out ahead of Addy, and it looks like he's very content with P2 on his return to the league, because he didn't take part in the F2 Championship, and of course he took part in the F1 Championship last season, as Ed sets fast lap to Grand Prix so far, 125.5. As he's looking very good here, and actually right all over the back of Murcielago, down into turn 3, they're side by side, and surely Ed gets his move done around the outside, and indeed he does. Ed is coming storming through the field here, and he's now up into P8, as he now has Hefford and Lazar, the two Williams cars, in his sights for the rest of this race now, with still quite a good distance of this race left. But Ed is on a march here, and look at this, he's already nearly within a second of Hereford. Since he's overtaken Murcielago, he's already pulled away a second from Murcielago since he's pitted, and there we go, he's already within a second of Hereford, who's just pitted onto these tyres. Ed is really flying in this race, and if the drivers aren't careful, he could be up for a P5 position here, and he might be getting the overtake done on Hefford already. Down the inside goes Ed, and he gets the move done. Fantastic effort there by Ed. Fantastic move. And he is now up into P7. He is really, really flying in this race, and he's certainly going to be one to keep our eye on for the remainder of this race. But now Ragno is starting to close. We're up within a second of Addy here for P2, as it looks like Addy's tyres are really starting to fall off the cliff now, as the gap is 15 seconds to Chazza, who we've barely had to speak about really, because he's just dominated this race so comfortably so far. But Ragno will be certainly hoping he gets a little bit of DRS, and then Addy just pops into the pit lane for him here. It's come through turn 11, turn 12. Ragno's certainly driving within himself there. He's not pushing really at all. He's just making sure that he takes it nice and calmly, as Danny Ibn Lahar comes into the pit lane and retires from P16. It's been an absolute stinker of a race for him, as he got caught up in the first lap incident. We don't know who caused it, but there was certainly a massive incident at turn 1. But Addy is continued on for another lap here. I actually think he might have pitted, you know. Let's see. He hasn't pitted from this race, so Addy still going on fantastically well on these old medium compounded tyres. So he's doing a tremendous job here. Very impressive debut here. And there you go, you can see Ragno just absolutely looking after his tyres, not pushing, as usually that is a corner we can pretty much near enough go flat out in race conditions. But Ragno choosing to do none of the sort, not put too much heat into the front left tyre, which is the tyre which gets most of the abuse here at this Grand Prix, as Ayrton Spener is driving pretty much a race of his own so far, hasn't really had to battle anyone, and he's in P4 as Bolt has actually just managed to get his ways past Schechter just before the last corner, so probably through the second to last corner. He has the DRS and is pulling away is Bolt. It's been a very good drive considering he started P20 and got caught up in the first lap incident as well. So Bolt doing a very good job to salvage, well, a somewhat good race. It remains to be seen if he gets some points in this race, but he's certainly done a good job today. As Addy now comes into pit lane finally after nearly 18 laps on those tyres, as he now comes into the pits for some soft compound rubber, and he's going to be flying towards the back of Ayrton Spener in the final stages of the race. As Chillakilla comes into the pits now, and I assume he's going to do the same. He's going to go on the soft compounded tyres for the last 10 laps of the Grand Prix. A clean pit stop there by the Alfa Romeo boys, as that promotes Murcielago and Hefford up into P7 and P8 respectively, as Chillakill's actually gone on to the medium compounded tyres. Very interesting there. But just notice that Addy is 15 seconds behind Ayrton Spener, so it's going to be certainly a tough job to catch up to the back of Ayrton Spener, as Hefford is relatively close to the back of Murcielago here, as Ayrton Spener's picked up a 3-second time penalty, and I also noticed he picked up one earlier, so he could be within contention here for getting P3. Could Addy on his Nemesis Online Racing League debut, as we have Bolt into the pits and also Schechter, but we have Jay Hobson UK from the race, as Bolt comes out ahead of the driver. Of the driver. Bolt comes ahead of Schechter, as his teammate Bolt, Ayrton Spener, goes past, as Colin's actually just notified me in the chat that he has about 12-second worth of penalties. Well, that's certainly not good news, because Addy, I think he might have one penalty, is certainly not got as many, as Lazar the Greek's car there is ghosted, as Ed has got past him and up into P5. Ed has showed really tremendous pace in this race, and it just begs to question if he had qualified in a good position, and I assume he would have up in P2, P3, or even on pole. Where would he be in this Grand Prix? Because of course he started 19th and he's up into P5 after having to do one more pit stop than everyone else, as Hereford is Jim Carnering around the corner there, as he's actually moved up past Murcielago here in P8. Murcielago was ahead on the previous lap, and I wonder if Murcielago's gone into the wall. No, he still goes front wing there. It's very hard to see the front wing as we don't have the well, the front wings of last year where you could see the airflow deflectors. I've actually forgotten what they're called properly because of, well, I haven't had to speak about them this season, so there you go. But Ayrton Spener is now closing up to the back of Ragno. The gap's closed down from, I think it was about 6 or 7 seconds to just under 4, so the Renault driver is trying to make a charge here. For P2 is Addy is set the fastest lap of the Grand Prix, a 1:24.3, and he says, boys, cop that, as he's absolutely flying here at Albert Park. But Chazza, well, what else can be said? He has a 22-second lead on lap 21 of the race. Absolute dominance from start to finish. Well, start to lap 21 for Chazza. He just needs to make sure that he keeps it on track and all clean to win this Grand Prix. So Murcielago's coming to the pits for some fresh rubber, some soft compounded tyres, and he's going to come out in P10, and now he's going to have some fun closing down the two Alfa Romeo drivers of Val and Chillikil. Potentially be 14 seconds behind Val actually, so not too sure if he will be able to do that. But Val, after his mistakes when he was in P3, is going to do a solid job here to probably get P9, which I think we're all joking about him getting P9 in the chat earlier, so that'll be a bit funny to see. As Fury, is that the Siege player from Toby's from Team Black Diamond? I think it might be. Yes, it is indeed. So good to see you in here, mate. I'm a big Rainbow Six Siege fan myself, so nice to have you in here. There's not too much on track battling at the moment, as everyone is pitted and of course gone onto fresher rubber, so we'll see that start to materialise over the next couple laps as Murcielago running a bit wide over the grass, and his engine sounds very weird. I'm not sure if that's just some sort of sound bug, but sounding all sorts of weird. As Addy's now closed the gap to about 8 seconds over Ayrton Spener, as he's now going to come up to lap his teammate Schechter, who's in P14. As Murcielago's actually coming to the pit lane again, as also his teammate has Jacobs Motorsport, who actually really needs to bet on the hard compounded tyres for 18 laps. So for 19 laps now, he's going to have to wait behind old Doubt. I'm sure he won't be too happy with Murcielago with that, who just pitted on the previous lap. Not too sure why he needed some fresh rubber, but he did indeed. So there you go. Testameister has now left the session, who of course retired. Retired on the first lap after he went into the wall, just that outside wall there, out in the exit of turn 2 on the first lap. As I think we're just going to watch Addy here, as he's probably the quickest driver on circuit at the moment. Well, he certainly was a couple laps ago when he said 124 something. Can't remember exactly what it was. I believe this is Testameister in the chat saying, the guys, F these guys, honestly, what happened at the start? Yeah, well, obviously there'll be some sort of investigation into what happened here. As It's interesting to see. Thanks for Colin pointing that out. Bolt is right behind Ragno here, and he's much faster than him, as Ragno's actually made a mistake there, gone off into the grass, as Bolt's on much fresher rubber. He's going to be much quicker than Ragno, and now he'll be released to try catch Dougie Aframan for P10. And if Bolt can get P10, considering what's happened in this race, I think he'll be quite happy with that. So we're just gonna, we're gonna stay on with him. But also that mistake by Ragno has now put Ayrton Spener within 2 seconds of Ragno, who's just picked up a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. So Callum J. Spencer or Ayrton Spener. It's really annoying how he's changed his name to Ayrton Spener. I don't like it. Is certainly putting himself in good contention for potentially P2. Of course, penalties will come into it, but let's see what happens as Chillakiller now on some fresher medium compound tyres is going to try and get past Hereford down into P3 into turn 3 and gets the move done up the inside. Does Chillakiller, nice move right there, as Bolt has also got past Dougie Aframan there with the third DRS zone out of turn 12 into turn 13, and he moves himself up into P10 as he's now 38 seconds behind Val. So I think that's the best that he can do today for Bolt, but I think there's a lot more to come from him in Bahrain, which will come up next weekend. So now Chillakiller will actually look to hunt down Lazar if possible. The gap is 8 seconds as Lazar actually just made a mistake there. He has indeed. Lazar's made a mistake, and he's lost quite a big portion of his left-hand side of his front wing. A mistake there by Lazar, and that looks like it's going to cost him P6, and it looks like the damage is that bad that he's going to have to pit. Look at the amount of understeer he's getting through these corners, but he's got to try and stick it out there. Understeering massively through the final corner, and I think Lazar now will become a sitting duck for Chillakiller, Hereford, and maybe even Val into P9. So a costly mistake, well, could potentially be a costly mistake there by Lazar. At turn 12. But let's see, this Chillakiller is gaining on him quite substantially through these corners. As he runs massively wide there, does Chillakiller, through the first sector. But yeah, there you go. Lazar's front wing damage is monumental, and he's struggling so much through these corners. Chillakiller's going to try and get his way past into turn 9. Around the outside, is he going to get the move done? No, Lazar nearly understeers into him, but great move there by Chillakiller around the outside of Lazar into turn 9. That is a really impressive move, as now Lazar's teammate Hereford is closing up behind him, and I assume he's going to get that move done pretty quickly as Lazar goes off the circuit, nearly all over that curb and nearly into the gravel actually, as now his teammate Hereford gets past him up into P7, and now I assume that Lazar has to pit here. He's missing so much of his front wing. Val is surely going to overtake him. Oh, is what's happened here? Ragno spun! Ragno is spun and he's down into P4 now. Disaster, disaster, with only a number of laps to go. That's promoted Ayrton sped up into P2 and Addy up into P3. Ragno's made a mistake there through the first sector under the trees. Just before turn 7, we've seen a couple of drivers make that mistake. I believe it was Jay Hobson UK who made that mistake earlier as well. But now, Ragno is certainly within striking distance of Ed. If Ed can pull his finger out, but Ragno's struggling massively. He's got massive front wing damage as well. Ragno is probably going to have to pit here for a new front wing, and that's going to promote a couple of drivers higher up the grid, or higher up the field. Certainly Ed and perhaps Chillakiller here, but Ragno with a costly mistake with only a couple of laps to go. Is he going to come into the pits? No, he's not. He's going to try and stick it out here. But one thing's for sure, the Mercedes driver of Ed is going to catch up to the back of him, certainly on this lap, and overtake him. but it remains to be seen whether or not Chillakilla can close that gap of what is 24 seconds to Ragno in the last couple of laps. Who knows? Ragno's damage is that bad and he's struggling so much that he just may well could, as Ed is now all over the back of Ragno. Ragno can't even turn into the corner as there's nearly contact between the two, and now Ed is going to get past Ragno here before where Ragno spun actually, and Ragno down into P5 now as Val and Lazo side by side, as Lazo's trying to go around the outside of Val here. 4P8 in this Grand Prix, but Val holds on for the time being. Oh no, it's actually the other way around. Val has overtaken Lazo. Oh, as Lazo tries to send a massive dive bomb and makes a silly move there and makes contact. He pulled out of the move, locked up and made contact with Val there. It was unnecessary, but in true sporting fashion, he's decided to wait for Val, and Val has maintained that position. But Val, I don't know, maybe could have potentially no, never mind. But of course, Lazo with that front wing damage, yeah, he still hasn't pitted. Okay, that I think that maybe explains a little bit more the reason why he crashed into Val. Not having the front downforce actually stop the car into the braking zone there, I think cost him quite a bit there. As now Chillakilla 16 seconds behind Ragno. Let's see if he can close up that gap. He's closing so quickly here. Ragno might be ruining not pitting here. This Chilla's actually closing in about what he needs to be to get past Ragno here. As Ragno's just gone through turn 3 and Chillakilla is going through turn 2 now. He's really closing up. As actually now we're going to have a battle for P2 over the next couple of laps. As Addy is closing up to the back of Ayrton Spencer. Oh, and never mind, Ayrton Spencer's gone into the wall, and he's out of the race. What is it with everyone who's going to get a podium potentially crashing out into the wall, making mistakes at that very corner? It was Val earlier on in the race who was in P3, and now it's Ayrton Spencer who is in P2, crashing out of this race. And now Ragno is trying to make sure he doesn't suffer the same fate as Ayrton Spencer there. As now we're on the final lap of the Grand Prix, as Chaz is 32 seconds ahead of Addy, who's going to probably pick up P2 on his debut here in the Nemesis Online Racing League Formula 1 Championship. It's been a tremendous drive by him. But let's see if Chillakilla can close up that gap to Ragno. Of course, he's got a lap to do it, and he has been gaining about 8 or 9 seconds a lap, so let's see if he can do it. But Chazza gets himself past Lazo, I believe that was. I think so. And now Chazza comes through the third to last corner, and now makes the difficult braking zone, which is the second to last corner, and now through the final corner and onto the Walker Straight, and it's going to be victory for the Ferrari driver. A very familiar taste for him. Victory for Chazza here in round 1 of the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship, and an extremely comfortable one at that. He's 33 seconds ahead of second place Addy, who on debut in the league is going to take P2. Really fantastic, as we have Bolt finishing in P9 along with Lazar in P8. And here we go, on his debut in the F1 League, Addy is going to finish in P2. But now we're going to watch out to see if Chillakilla can close the gap, which is 2 seconds through the final sector. And of course, this is the part of the track where Ragno is going to be struggling the most. Can Chillakilla do it? As also Eddie in Zed gets P3, but our main focus here is on Chillakilla. He's absolutely giving it all on Ragno, and Ragno through the last corner is going to be oh so slow. And can Chillakilla get the run? He's got the DRS, has he? No, of course he doesn't. But Ragno just about holds on for P4. Whew, that was close for Ragno. Pitting, he just about made the right call not to pit. after he made that mistake, and there we go. Everything is all done. And what has been an exhilarating opening round of the Nemesis Online Racing League Championship here at Albert Park. And I'm certainly looking forward to the next race in China, Bahrain. I said it earlier, but I don't know why. I can't remember now. Anyway, Chazza takes victory here comfortably, very, very comfortably. Was never under any threat really, except for Ragno, who of course gave him some issues on the first couple of laps, but he persevered, got past Ragno, and just built a gap. What was a fantastic victory. As there we go, as everyone except for Hereford, Val, and Jacobs Motorsport had penalties. Of course, the strict corner cutting coming into full effect there, but Chazza wins from Addy in second. Fantastic. Also, Ed on his actual actual proper F1 debut in this league finishes P3. Ragno P4 will be absolutely kicking himself for what should have been a pretty comfortable P2. Chillakilla 5th, Hereford 6th, Val 7th, who will also be kicking himself, who was comfortably in P3 early in the race. Lazar 8th, Bolt 9th, Murcielago 10th, Dougie 11th, Schechter for 12th, Ayrton Spinner as well, kicking himself massively. Jacobs 14th, Jay Hobson 15th, Danny Vinlaha 16th, Anil 17th, Skull 18th, Lola in 19th, and Testo Meister in 20th. But certainly a lot of angry drivers in the chat after whoever was at fault for all the lap 1 chaos. I'm sure they're going to be facing a warmth of rage coming their way. As Bolt saying, what could have been Kevin Jacobs' terrible race. Ed saying miracle podium, and indeed Ed, it was a fantastic race for you from P19 to P3. Fantastic job, my friend. Bolt saying someone drove like an idiot on lap 1, man. Made it so many positions, just got effing destroyed. And well, that's certainly not what you want. Lazar congratulating Chazza, and Bolt also saying had half a front wing until my last stop. Handled worse than my Russian time. And we know how awful those F2 cars handled. But what an exciting race we just had here, fellas. And I'm certainly looking forward to the race next time out. But I know that there is that the F1 race actually conflicts with the league time, so we might be starting a little bit later than what happens, and EU go out of daylight saving. It's going to be a mess. So just follow the Nemesis Online Racing League Twitter page for full information to see what time the race will be held at. But yeah, thank you for everyone in the chat for joining and watching along, and of course thanks to the drivers and to the league organiser Valerio for organising a fantastic league and a very exciting first round in this championship. And from me, it has been Niblu 331, and goodbye.